Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another chapter, two, in fact, of the Legend of Drizzt. We're into the tail end of all this now, so we're going to be reading two today, and then a last chapter tomorrow. The last chapter tomorrow is going to be a little bit shorter than the rest, but hey, we're finishing by the goal, so that's what I had intended. So, we're gonna go ahead and hop in here. If you didn't tune in yesterday, what you missed was that Zaknafein and Drizzt had their confrontation in the sparring room, where they each realized that they were wrong about the other, and really they were incredibly like-minded in where they were coming from. Which was secretly observed by Briza and Matron Malice, who learned that Drizzt had not killed the elven child on the surface, and that's why Lolth is displeased with their house now. So, they're endeavoring to do something about that. Meanwhile, Drizzt, in thinking about all this, left the city and came under attack by a monster that lives in the Underdark. Mesage sent Guenhwyvar to take advantage of the opportunity and to kill him at that point, since he still commands the Panther. And Guenhwyvar broke free of the control, and now Drizzt is going to find Mesage and try to take the figurine from him so that he can be Guenhwyvar's master. So, that takes us into our next chapter here. So, here we go. Whoopsies. I was at the wrong part of the book. Ha ha. Okay, here we go. Chapter 27. Untroubled Dreams. Zaknafein sank down into his bed in an easy sleep, the most comfortable rest he had ever known. Dreams did come to him this night, a rush of dreams. Far from tumultuous, they only enhanced his comfort. Zak was now free of his secret, of the lie that had dominated every day of his adult life. Drizzt had survived. Even the dreaded Academy of Menzoberranzan could not daunt the youth's indomitable spirit and sense of morality. Zaknafein Do'Urden was no longer alone. The dreams that played in his mind showed him the same wonderful possibilities that had followed Drizzt out of the city. Side by side they would stand, unbeatable, two as one against the perverted foundations of Menzoberranzan. A stinging pain in his foot brought Zak from his slumbers. He saw Briza immediately, at the bottom of his bed, her snake whip in hand. Instinctively, Zak reached over the side to fetch his sword. The weapon was gone. Vierna stood at the side of the room, holding it. On the opposite side, Maya held Zak's other sword. How had they come in so stealthily, Zak wondered. Magical silence, no doubt, but Zak was still surprised that he had not sensed their presence in time. Nothing had ever caught him unawares, awake or asleep. Never before had he slept so soundly, so peacefully. Perhaps, in Menzoberranzan, such pleasant dreams were dangerous. "Matron Malice will see you," Briza announced. "I am not properly dressed," Zak replied casually. "My belt and weapons, if you please." "We do not, please," Briza snapped, more at her sisters than at Zak. "You will not need the weapons." Zak thought otherwise. "Come, now," Briza commanded, and she raised the whip. "I should be certain of Matron Malice's intentions before I acted so boldly, were I you," Zak warned. Briza, reminded of the power of the male she now threatened, lowered her weapon. Zak rolled out of bed, putting the same intense glare alternately on Maya and Vierna, watching their reactions to better conclude Malice's reasons for summoning him. They surrounded him as he left the room, keeping a cautious but ready distance from the deadly weapons master. "Must be serious," Zak remarked quietly, so that only Briza, in front of the troop, could hear. Briza turned and flashed him a wicked smile that did nothing to dispel his suspicions. Neither did Matron Malice, who leaned forward in her throne in anticipation, even before they entered the room. "Malice," Zak offered, dipping into a bow and pulling the side of his nightshirt out wide to draw attention to his inappropriate dress. He wanted to let Malice know his feelings of being ridiculed at such a late hour. The matron offered no return greeting. She rested back in her throne. One slender hand rubbed her sharp chin, while her eyes locked upon Zaknafein. Perhaps you could tell me why you summoned me, Zak dared to say, his voice still holding an edge of sarcasm. I would prefer to return to my slumbers. We should not give House Annette the advantage of a tired weapons master. Drizzt has gone, growled Malice. The news slapped Zak like a wet rag. He straightened, and the teasing smile disappeared from his face. He left the house against my commands, Malice went on. Zak relaxed visibly. When Malice announced that Drizzt was gone, Zak at first thought that she and her devious cohorts had driven him out or killed him. A spirited boy, Zak remarked. Surely he will return soon. Spirited, Malice echoed, and her tone did not put the description in a positive light. He'll return, Zak said again. There's no need for our alarm, for such extreme measures. He glared at Briza, though he knew well that the matron mother had called him to audience to do more than tell him of Drizzt's departure. The second boy disobeyed the matron mother, Briza snarled, a rehearsed interruption. Spirited, Zak said again, trying not to chuckle. A minor indiscretion. How often he seems to have those, Malice commented. Like another spirited male of House Do'Urden. Zak bowed again, taking her words as a compliment. Malice already had his punishment decided, if she meant to punish him at all. His actions now, at this trial, if that's what it was, would be of little consequence. The boy has displeased the Spider Queen, Malice growled, openly enraged and tired of Zak's sarcasm. Even you were not foolish enough to do that! A dark cloud passed across Zak's face. This meeting was indeed serious. Drizzt's life could be at stake. But you know of his crime, Malice continued, easing back again. She liked that she had Zak concerned and on the defensive. She had found his vulnerable spot. It was her turn to tease. Leaving the house? Zak protested. A minor error in judgment. Lolth would not be concerned with such a trifle issue. Do not feign ignorance, Zaknafein. You know the elven child lives! Zak lost all his breath in a sharp gasp. Malice knew. Damn it all, Lolth knew. We are about to go to war, Malice continued calmly. We are not in Lolth's favor, and we must correct the situation. She eyed Zak directly. You are aware of our ways and know that we must do this. Zak nodded, trapped. Anything he did now to disagree would only make matters worse for Drizzt, if matters could be worse for Drizzt. The second boy must be punished, Briza said. Another rehearsed interruption, Zak knew. He wondered how many times Briza and Malice had practiced this encounter. Am I to punish him, then? Zak asked. I'll not whip the boy. That is not my place. His punishment is none of your concern, Malice said. Then why disturb my slumber? Zak asked, trying to detach himself from Drizzt's predicament, more for Drizzt's sake than his own. I thought you would wish to know, Malice replied. You and Drizzt became so close this day in the gym. Father and son. She saw, Zak realized. Malice and probably that wretched Briza had watched the whole encounter. Zak's head drooped as he came to know that he had unwittingly played a part in Drizzt's predicament. An elven child lives, Malice began slowly, rolling out each word in dramatic clarity. And a young drow must die. No! The word came out of Zak before he realized he was speaking. He tried to find some escape. Drizzt was young. He did not understand. He knew exactly what he was doing! Malice screamed back at him. He does not regret his actions! He is so like you, Zaknafein. Too like you. Then he can learn, Zak reasoned. I have not been a burden to you, Matron, Malice. You have profited by my presence. Drizzt is no less skilled than I. He can be valuable to us. Dangerous to us, Matron Malice corrected. You and he standing together. The thought does not please me. His death will aid House Annette, Zak warned, grabbing at anything he could find to defeat the matron's intent. The Spider Queen demands his death, Malice replied sternly. She must be appeased if Dair Mon Ashes Baernon is to have any hope in its struggles against House Hannet. I beg you, do not kill the boy. Sympathy, Malice mused. It does not become a drow warrior, Zaknafein. Have you lost your fighting will? I am old, Malice. Matron Malice, Briza protested, but Zack put a look on her so cold that she lowered her snake whip before she had even begun to put it to use. Older still will I become if Drizzt is put to his death. I do not desire this either, Malice agreed, but Zack recognized her lie. She didn't care about Drizzt or about anything else beyond gaining the Spider Queen's favor. Yet I see no alternative. Drizzt has angered Lolth, and she must be appeased before our war. Zack began to understand. This meeting wasn't about Drizzt at all. Take me in the boy's stead, he said. Malice's narrow grin could not hide her feigned surprise. This was what she had desired from the very beginning. You are a proven fighter, the matron argued. Your value, as you yourself have already admitted, cannot be underestimated. To sacrifice you to the Spider Queen would appease her, but what void will be left in House Do'Urden in the wake of your passing? A void that Drizzt can fill, Zack replied. He secretly hoped that Drizzt, unlike he, would find some escape from it all, some way around Matron Malice's evil plots. You are certain of this? He's my equal in battle, Zack assured her. He will grow stronger too, beyond what Zaknafein has ever attained. You are willing to do this for him? Malice sneered, eager drool edging her mouth. You know that I am, Zack replied. Ever the fool, Malice put in. To your dismay, Zack continued undaunted. You know that Drizzt would do the same for me. He is young, Malice purred. He will be taught better. As you taught me, snapped Zack. Malice's victorious grin became a grimace. I warn you, Zaknafein, she growled in all her vile rage. If you do anything to disrupt the ceremony to appease the Spider Queen, if in the end of your wasted life you choose to anger me one final time, I will give Drizzt to Briza. She and her torturous toys will give him to Lolth. Unafraid, Zack held his head high. I have offered myself, Malice, he spat. Have your fun while you may. In the end, Zaknafein will be at peace. Matron Malice Do'Urden will be ever at war. Shaking in anger, the moment of triumph stolen by a few simple words, Malice could only whisper, Take him. Zack offered no resistance as Vierna and Maya tied him to the spider-shaped altar in the chapel. He watched Vierna mostly, seeing an edge of sympathy rimming her quiet eyes. She too might have been like him, but whatever hope he had for that possibility had been buried long ago under the relentless preaching of the Spider Queen. You are sad, Zack remarked to her. Vierna straightened and tugged tightly on one of Zack's bonds, causing him to grimace in pain. A pity, she replied as coldly as she could. House Do'Urden must give much to repay Drizzt's foolish deed. I would have enjoyed watching the two of you together in battle. House Hannet would not have enjoyed the sight, Zack replied with a wink. Cry not, my daughter. Vierna slapped him across the face. Take your lies to your grave! Deny it as you choose, Vierna, was all that Zack cared to reply. Vierna and Maya backed away from the altar. Vierna fought to hold her scowl, and Maya bit back an amused chuckle as Matron Malice and Briza entered the room. The matron mother wore her greatest ceremonial robe, black and web-like, clinging and floating about her all at once, and Briza carried a sacred coffer. Zack paid them no heed as they began their ritual, chanting for the Spider Queen, offering their hopes for appeasement. Zack had his own hopes at that moment. Beat them all, he whispered under his breath. Do more than survive, my son, as I have survived. Live. Be true to the callings in your heart. Braziers roared to life. The room glowed. Zack felt the heat, knew that contact to that darker plane had been achieved. Take this, he heard Matron Malice chant, but he put the words out of his thoughts and continued the final prayers of his life. The spider-shaped dagger hovered over his chest. Malice clenched the instrument in her bony hands, the sheen of her sweat-soaked skin catching the orange reflection of the fires in a surrealistic glow. Surreal, like the transition from life to death. Chapter 28. Rightful Owner. How long had it been? An hour? 2? Massage paced the length of the gap between the two stalagmite mounds just a few feet from the entrance to the tunnel that Drizzt and Guenhwyvar had taken. The cat should have returned by now, the wizard grumbled, at the end of his patience. Relief flooded through his face a moment later, when Guenhwyvar's great black head peered around the edge of the tunnel, behind one of the Displacer Beast statue guardians. The fur around the cat's maw was conspicuously wet with fresh blood. "Is it done?" Massage asked, barely able to contain a shout of elation. "Drizzt Do'Urden is dead!" "Hardly," came the reply. Drizzt, for all his idealism, had to admit a tinge of pleasure as a cloud of dread cooled the elated fires in the sinister wizard's cheeks. "What is this, Guenhwyvar?" Massage demanded. "Do as I bid you! Kill him now!" Guenhwyvar stared blankly at Massage, then lay at Drizzt's feet. "You admit your attempt on my life?" Drizzt asked. Massage measured the distance to his adversary. 10 feet. He might be able to get off one spell. Perhaps. Massage had seen Drizzt move quick and sure, and had little desire to chance the attack if he could find another way out of this predicament. Drizzt had not yet drawn a weapon, though the young warrior's hands rested easily across the hilts of his deadly blades. "I understand," Drizzt continued calmly. "House H'aanit and House Do'Urden are to battle." "How did you know?" Massage blurted without thinking, too shocked by the revelation to consider that Drizzt might be merely begoading him into a larger admission. "I know much, but care little," Drizzt replied. "House H'aanit wishes to wage war against my family. For what reason, I cannot guess." "For the vengeance of House Devere!" came a reply from a different direction. Alton, standing on the side of a stalagmite mound, looked down at Drizzt. A smile spread over Massage's face. The odds had so quickly changed. "House H'aanit cares not at all for House Devere," Drizzt replied, still composed in the face of this new development. "I've learned enough of the ways of our people to know that the fate of one house is not the concern of another." "But it is my concern!" Alton cried, and he threw back the cowl of his hood, revealing the hideous face, scarred by acid for the sake of a disguise. "I am Alton Devere, lone survivor of House Devere. House Do'Urden will pay for its crimes against my family, starting with you." "I was not even born when the battle took place," Drizzt protested. "Of little consequence," Alton snarled. "You are a Do'Urden, a filthy Do'Urden. That is all that matters." Massage tossed the onyx figurine to the ground. "Guenhwyvar," he commanded. "Be gone!" The cat looked over its shoulder to Drizzt, who nodded his approval. "Be gone!" Massage cried again. "I am your master! You cannot disobey me!" "You do not own the cat," Drizzt said calmly. "Who does then?" Massage snapped. "You?" "Guenhwyvar," Drizzt replied. "Only Guenhwyvar. I would think that a wizard would have a better understanding of the magic around him." With a low growl that might have been a mocking laugh, Guenhwyvar loped across the stone to the figurine and dissipated into smoky nothingness. The cat walked down the length of the planar tunnel toward its home in the astral plane. Ever before had Guenhwyvar been anxious to make this journey, to escape the foul commands of his drow masters. This time, though, the cat hesitated with every stride, looking back over its shoulder to the dot of darkness that was Menzoberranzan. "Will you deal?" Drizzt offered. "You were in no position to bargain," Alton laughed, drawing out the slender wand that Matron Sinafe had given him. Massage cut him short. "Wait," he said. "Perhaps Drizzt will prove valuable in our struggle against House Do'Urden." He eyed the young warrior directly. "You will betray your family." Hardly, Drizzt snickered. As I have already said to you, I care little for the coming conflict. Let House Hannet and House Do'Urden both be damned, as surely they will. My concerns are personal. You must have something to offer us in exchange for your gain, Mesaj explained. Otherwise, what bargain can you hope to make? I do have something to give you in return, Drizzt replied, his voice calm. Your lives. Mesaj and Alton looked to each other and laughed aloud, but there was a trace of nervousness in their chuckles. Give me the figurine, Mesaj, Drizzt continued, undaunted. Guenhwyvar never belonged to you, and will serve you no more. Mesaj stopped laughing. In return, Drizzt went on before the wizard could reply, I will leave House Do'Urden and not take part in the battle. Corpses do not fight, Alton sneered. I will take another Do'Urden with me, Drizzt spat at him. A weapons master. Surely House Hannet will have gained an advantage if both Drizzt and Zaknafein... Silence! Mesaj screamed. The cat is mine! I do not need any bargains from a pitiful Do'Urden! You are dead, fool, and House Do'Urden's weapons master will follow you to your grave! Guenhwyvar is free, Drizzt growled. The scimitars came out in Drizzt's hands. He had never really fought a wizard before, let alone two, but he remembered vividly from past encounters the sting of their spells. Mesaj had already begun to cast, but of more concern was Alton, out of quick reach and pointing that slender wand. Before Drizzt had decided his course of action, the issue was settled for him. A cloud of smoke engulfed Mesaj, and he fell back, his spell disrupted with the shock. Guenhwyvar was back. Alton was out of Drizzt's reach. Drizzt could not hope to get to the wizard before the wand went off, but to Guenhwyvar's streamlined, feline muscles, the distance was not so great. Hind legs tamped a footing and snapped, launching the hunting panther through the air. Alton brought the wand to bear on this new nemesis in time, and released a mighty bolt, scorching Guenhwyvar's chest. Greater strength than a single blow, though, would be needed to deter the ferocious panther. Stunned, but still fighting, Guenhwyvar slammed into the faceless wizard, dropping him off the backside of the stalagmite mound. The lightning bolt's flash stunned Drizzt as well, but he continued to pursue Mesaj and could only hope that Guenhwyvar had survived. He rushed around the base of the other stalagmite mound and came face to face with Mesaj, once again in the act of spellcasting. Drizzt didn't slow. He ducked his head and barreled into his opponent, his scimitars leading the way. He slipped right through his opponent, right through the image of his opponent. Drizzt crashed heavily into the stone and rolled aside, trying to escape the magical attack he knew was coming. This time, Mesaj, standing fully 30 feet behind the projection of his image, was taking no chances with a miss. He launched a volley of magical missiles of energy that veered unerringly to intercept the dodging fighter. They slammed into Drizzt, jolting him, bruising him under his skin. But Drizzt was able to shake away the numbing pain and regain his footing. He knew where the real Mesaj was standing now, and had no intention of letting the trickster out of sight again. A dagger in his hand, Mesaj watched Drizzt's stalking approach. Drizzt didn't understand. Why wasn't the wizard preparing another spell? The fall had reopened the wound in Drizzt's shoulder, and the magical bolts had torn his side and one leg. The wounds were not serious, though, and Mesaj had no chance against him in physical combat. The wizard stood before him, unconcerned, dagger drawn and a wicked smile on his face. Face down on the hard stone, Alton felt the warmth of his own blood running freely between the melted holes that were his eyes. The cat was higher up the side of the mound, not yet fully recovered from the lightning bolt. Alton forced himself up and raised his wand for a second strike, but the wand had snapped in half. Frantically, Alton recovered the other piece and held it up before his melted, disbelieving eyes. Guenhwyvar was coming again, but Alton didn't notice. The glowing ends of the wand, a power building within the magical stick, enthralled him. "You cannot do that," Alton whispered in protest. Guenhwyvar leaped just as the broken wand exploded. A ball of fire roared up into Menzoberranzan's night. Chunks of rubble rocketed off the great cavern's eastern wall and ceiling, and both Drizzt and Mesaj were knocked from their feet. "Now, Guenhwyvar belongs to me," Mesaj sneered, tossing the figurine to the ground. No Devere remains to claim vengeance on House Do'Urden, Drizzt growled back, his anger holding off his despair. Mesaj became the focus of that anger, and the wizard's mocking laughter led Drizzt toward him in a furious rush. Just as Drizzt got in range, Mesaj snapped his fingers and was gone. Invisible, Drizzt roared, slicing futilely into the empty air before him. His exertions took the edge from his blind rage, and he realized that Mesaj was no longer in front of him. How foolish he must seem to the wizard. How vulnerable. Drizzt crouched to listen. He sensed a distant chanting from up above on the cavern wall. Drizzt's instincts told him to dive to the side, but his new understanding of wizards told him that Mesaj would anticipate such a move. Drizzt feigned to the left and heard the climactic words of the building spell. As the lightning blast thundered harmlessly to the side, Drizzt sprinted straight ahead, hoping his vision would return in time for him to get to the wizard. "Damn you!" Mesaj cried, understanding the feint as soon as he had errantly fired. Rage became terror in the next instant, as Mesaj caught sight of Drizzt sprinting across the stone, leaping the rubble, and crossing the sides of the mounds with all the grace of a hunting cat. Pardon me? Mesaj fumbled in his pockets for the components to his next spell. He had to be quick. He was fully 20 feet from the cavern floor, perched on a narrow ledge, but Drizzt was moving fast, impossibly fast. The ground beneath him did not register in Drizzt's conscious thoughts. The cavern wall would have seemed unclimbable to him in a more rational state, but now he gave it not a care. Guenhwyvar was lost to him. Guenhwyvar was gone. The wicked wizard on the ledge, that embodiment of demonic evil, had caused it. Drizzt sprang to the wall, found one hand free, he must have discarded one scimitar, and held a tenuous hold. It wasn't enough for a rational drow, but Drizzt's mind ignored the protests of the muscles in his straining fingers. He had only 10 feet to go. Another volley of energy bolts thudded into Drizzt, hammering the top of his head in rapid succession. "How many spells remain, wizard?" he heard himself defiantly cry as he ignored the pain. Mesaj fell back when Drizzt looked up at him, when the burning light of those lavender orbs fell upon him like a pronouncement of doom. He had seen Drizzt in battle many times, and the sight of the fighting young warrior had haunted him through all the planning of this assassination. But Mesaj had never seen Drizzt enraged before. If he had, he never would have agreed to try to kill Drizzt. If he had, he would have told Matron Sinifé to go sit on a stalagmite. What spell was next? What spell could slow the monster that was Drizzt Do'Urden? A hand, glowing with the heat of anger, grabbed the lip of the ledge. Mesaj stomped on it with the heel of his boot. The fingers were broken. The wizard knew that the fingers were broken. But Drizzt, impossibly, was up beside him, and the blade of a scimitar was through the wizard's ribs. "The fingers are broken!" the dying mage gasped in protest. Drizzt looked down at his hand and realized the pain for the first time. "Perhaps," he said absently, "but they will heal." Drizzt, limping, found his other scimitar, and cautiously picked his way over the rubble of one of the mounds. Fighting the fear within his broken heart, he forced himself to peer over the crest at the destruction. The backside of the mound glowed eerily in the residual heat, a beacon for the awakening city. So much for stealth. Pieces of Alton Devere lay scattered at the bottom, around the wizard's smoldering robes. "Have you found peace, faceless one?" Drizzt whispered, exhaling the last of his anger. He remembered the assault Alton had launched against him all those years ago in the academy. The faceless master and Mesaj had explained it away as a test for a budding warrior. "How long you have carried your hate," Drizzt muttered at the blasted bits of corpse. But Alton Devere was not his concern now. He scanned the rest of the rubble, searching for some clue to Guenhwyvar's fate, not certain how a magical creature would fare in such a disaster. Not a sign of the cat remained, nothing that would even hint that Guenhwyvar had ever been there. Drizzt consciously reminded himself that there was no hope, but the anxious spring in his steps mocked his stern visage. He rushed back down the mound and found the other stalagmite, where Mesaj and he had been when the wand exploded. He spotted the onyx figurine immediately. He lifted it gently in his hands. It was warm, as though it too had been caught in the blast, and Drizzt could sense that its magic had been diminished. Drizzt wanted to call the cat then, but he didn't dare, knowing that the travel between the planes heavily taxed Guenhwyvar. If the cat had been injured, Drizzt figured it would be better to give it time to recuperate. "Oh, Guenhwyvar," he moaned. "My friend. My brave friend." He dropped the figurine into his pocket. He could only hope that Guenhwyvar had survived. And there we are. That's today's couple of chapters. And we'll be finishing it up tomorrow with the last chapter, which, as I said, is probably going to be a bit shorter than these last couple have been, but we made it. So, I will see everyone tomorrow. I hope everyone stays safe and stays healthy, and I will be back tomorrow. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.